Just briefly, again, Coinbase is essentially an exchange. You can buy and sell cryptocurrencies, and they also have a product where you can store your digital currency securely. So we can talk about that. And the mission is to create an open financial system for the world, which I've heard is all over every meeting you end up having. Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So we'll cover your earlier days. So you went from studying history and working in politics to becoming a product marketing manager at Google. So how did you transition from campaign management to marketing, and then now it's led you to this career?
Yeah, so I grew up with two doctor parents who told me I could be anything I wanted to be when I grew up, as long as I became a doctor and moved back to Denver, where I'm from. And so I had a lot of options going into college. And I sort of realized that I liked other things more, and ended up down another path, which was the legal path. I assumed I'd go to law school. Any confused liberal arts student takes the LSAT. And I took the LSAT, and while I was waiting to apply, I had already worked on the Obama campaign, and I was working for a state senator in Colorado, and a friend at Google said, hey, you should apply to Google. And I just thought to myself, that's ridiculous, they'll never accept me. I don't have any private sector experience, and I'm probably going to go to law school, so sure, I'll submit my resume. But Google saved me from a legal career, so thank you, Larry and Sergey.
All right.
But in any case, as I was interviewing at Google, it turns out that non-technical people who could write pretty well were sort of pushed in the product marketing space. And as I was interviewing, they asked me if I had marketing experience, and I said no, but as I thought through politics and really what it was.
Management.
Yeah, it's marketing. It's basically, understanding the target customer, understanding the product that you have to give, iterating and making sure that there's that product market fit. It's the mortar, it's the glue that really helps connect people to a product, because most products don't sell themselves, especially in crypto.
And then you moved into the startup space, first round bad company, and we've had first round here a couple times too, and now you're the director of marketing at Coinbase. So it's been 7 months, right? If your LinkedIn is accurate.
Correct.
Okay, great. And so it's still pretty fresh in your mind. Tell us what it's like, and what are you thinking?
Yeah, so I came into crypto fairly recently, relative to Paul. So I had always been thinking about crypto. I had friends who were very into trading, but I never really caught the bug. And after last December, when it went haywire, I actually decided to commit to learning as much as I could. And I sort of, all roads led to some friends who were at Coinbase, which led to a job at Coinbase because they didn't have a marketing department. And I think that as crypto is going more and more mainstream, they need better storytelling and a way to help connect the product to the market. And so it's been a wild ride. I feel like every week feels like a month at my previous job, but at the same time, it's so exciting to be in the space. And our founder and CEO, Brian, always talks about how in 2012, when he went to a crypto meetup, he saw how many people were at this Bitcoin meetup and thought to himself, I'm too late. It's already happened. And I think that that's a recurring theme. People kind of see that everyone is getting more and more interested. In fact, some could say that Bitcoin was the breakaway brand of 2017, yet there's no one maintaining it and no one really telling the story, so it turned into probably 12-year-olds in Lambos. But in a lot of ways, it still hasn't happened. I truly believe that we're still years away from this going really mainstream, and one of the things that we're thinking deeply about is how to educate the mainstream about crypto, to get more and more people in, and to help people make sense of it all.
What are some of those resources that you go to get educated yourself?
I think that 2018 was the year of the newsletter. So if you subscribe to newsletters in crypto, I think that's actually probably the best way. And I really like Token Daily, Token Economy. I subscribe to Bitwise. They do an investor report that they actually share as a newsletter, which I find very, very helpful. And then a number of other resources that are shared on Twitter.
Okay. And in that space, so with you, with your background in marketing, I think from a marketing lens, it'll be really interesting. We were talking a little bit about trust earlier, and there's a lot that's happening. So, Pantera CEO, for example, says buy like crazy right now. Or at least he said it in April, so maybe it's changed now. So, but what do you do around how do you get people more comfortable?
I think the first thing that we like to say is don't buy until you're ready. Don't just kind of blindly jump in and think that you need to take action now to become a millionaire in 2 months. And if you're actually thinking that way, you're probably missing the bigger picture, the bigger story, which we and I believe is that we're going to fundamentally change the landscape of finance and technology. And this is a long journey. This is just the beginning, and there's a lot of room for growth. There's a lot of room for new entrants and new players. This is not an ossified space by any means. And I think it's telling people to slow down and learn from themselves is actually, I think, counterintuitively the right thing to do to make sure that people realize they can be in it for the long haul.
What are some of the challenges that you're seeing in the space right now?
I would say
with storytelling. Let's talk about like getting people to feel comfortable, because a lot of people, and I'll maybe address why, is a lot of people in the audience here who do have their own company, they're going to be addressing some of the same challenges, and maybe good to hear from your side.
Definitely. Just so I get a sense, though, I'm going to ask you to rate yourself on a 3-point scale. So raise your hand. So no knowledge of crypto, some knowledge of crypto, very knowledgeable about crypto. I'd like to kind of poll the audience. Raise your hand if you're very knowledgeable about crypto, or you think you are. Okay, now raise your hand if you're somewhat knowledgeable about crypto. Okay, about half and half. And raise your hand if you feel like you're very not knowledgeable about crypto. Okay, so we got a good mix here. I think that as we're trying to communicate the trust, we have to bring things back to basic concepts and not make it seem so cryptic. And when you think about it, it's just when you digitize money or make digital programmable money, it's taking money and making it like email. And in much the same way that the postal service is not out of business just because there's email, money is not going to go away. You don't have to worry about the rest of your investments kind of disappearing into thin air if you believe in this. And I think that just getting people to kind of dip their toes in and realize that this is something they can get, and B, this is something that they can actually benefit from. Those are the 2 pillars that we kind of focus on.
And I'm going to jump the gun now a little bit, because you and I were talking earlier about a couple things that you're interested in specifically. And so, recently, one of the things is that Coinbase and Circle just announced support for the USD coin, stable coin. And so it's a stable programmable dollar that makes it easier to send, use, store, program, and more. But that also sounds like just in general what cryptocurrency is supposed to be. So can you explain what that is, and how is stablecoin different from others?
Yeah, I think that when we think about the journey to take everyone from Finance 1.0 to Finance 2.0, it's in small steps. Each step feels